Whew. Well, I remember, truly like it was yesterday. I was sitting there in the dark room with my family, and that one last candle was burning down, and the light dimmed and dimmed and dimmed, and those candles go so quickly, and all of a sudden we were just sitting in darkness. And you know what? I wasn't afraid. It was really the first time that I felt kind of one with myself. I wasn't dependent on everybody around me, and I actually could listen in. And I wasn't afraid, even though I thought I was going to be. The anticipation was crazy, but I really wasn't afraid.
All right, we're here with Naomi Less, who in our world, my world, is a music ritual leader and also a very dear family friend. But this Naomi Less comes from a world where the way we light Chanukah candles is different. There's an argument in the Talmud that says that Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel had different opinions. Beit Shammai said that we should light the candles starting with 8 and then going down each night until 1. And Beit Hillel said that we should light Chanukah candles starting from 1 and going up each night until 8. And that's what we do in our world. But in this Naomi Less's world, it goes the other way. Is that right, Naomi?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, we start with this grand burning light. And you can imagine with that much light, it's almost like frenetic energy, like wild Chag kind of festival wildness, you know? Do you want to know about it?
Yeah. Why don't you just run me through how lighting Chanukah candles looks in your world? What's the experience?
Well, we start out with basically a rave. It's really insane. Everybody gathers together. It's like, like crazy backbeat music going. People are dancing. People are like, it's almost like a bonfire. It's like Burning Man. It's like crazy. And the lights are like torches. And it's, I have to say, like every day, it's hard to sustain that level, that level of people sort of peter out after a while. But on the first night, it's pretty wild. It's like, okay, we know we're going into the darkest point in the year. And so we're going to party like it's 1999. And from there, it starts to whittle down a little bit. So that first night is really festival. It's really wild, raucous. Some people get super costumed up. It's just, high costume. And by the way, there's usually somebody who is designated as shamans, and their costume is like and fuego. They're just like that's like crazy lighting on their costume. The next night.
Let me stop you for a moment.
Yeah.
We don't have anything like that in our world.
You're kidding.
I'm not aware of any Jewish communities where people dress up on Purim. That's obviously, is that part of Purim for you? Dressing up in costumes?
Oh, well, yeah. Purim. Yeah, but people usually dress up in costumes that are themed in like gold and white, and they don't wear any leather because it's like Kippurim and Purim, like they're so connected. Like, so it's kind of like turning heaven and earth on its head. It's pretty wild in our customs.
Huh.
But yeah, this is like a serious festival because people are rededicating themselves to really bring in light and living light and fire and like our primal instincts. So it's pretty crazy. You kind of can't top the first night of Hanukkah.
What's interesting to me is in my world, obviously we have a night when we light 8 candles. It's the last night.
Mm-hmm.
But at least my personal experience is that by that night, yes, it's exciting. We get to finally fill up the menorah and light all 8 lights. But we've also been doing it for 8 nights. And so we're a little bit burnt out.
No pun intended. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's hard. That's hard to sustain that.
It sounds like that's not your experience.
Well, because, okay, so now I have to explain to you what happened. So basically, it's like an ingathering. Like the first night is celebratory. It's like, here we are again. We're ready. And then each night, subsequently, you have less and less candles. But cosmically speaking, we're mirroring that the light is waning. The light is going away. It's getting smaller and smaller until you get to like the darkest night of the year. I mean, we're really in a season where light is just little by little disappearing. So we get to that apex, that point, that solstice moment where we're really at the end. And is this how the world is going to be? But it's not a fear-based place, because once you have all these nights that are like exciting, and each night, you know, maybe if you're with 200 people the first night, maybe the second night you're with 50 people. And then maybe the night after that, you're having leftovers with some more people. And then by the time you get down to like night 7, you're really just with your inner circle. And you're able to kind of like say, okay, the light is going out, and what is important to us. But if you think about, you know, society and your circles of care, right? You got your outer circles and your acquaintances and your people that you don't know, and just, you know, humanity. But then you go inner circle. With each subsequent circle you go into with each night, you hone in on who are the people that are your people, that are the closest to you, that you really care about, that you're showing up for in a consistent way. It's really beautiful. And then when you get to the last night, as that last candle on the 8th night and the shamas goes out, and you see the light is fading and fading and fading, you are left with yourself. And so oftentimes that practice of the last night is done with like maybe 1, 2 people, or maybe just by yourself. It's like the hoopla's gone, the noise is gone, scrape away at all of the exterior, and you're left with the voice inside of you, because you can't see when that light's gone. You've got that kol damama dakad, you've got that like that still quiet voice inside of you. And that's your inner light. That's the light inside. Oftentimes people like black out their windows. They put like dark blackout curtains on just so they can be in solitude and sit with themselves and see what is the light at this darkest point of the year. What is that light inside directing them towards? And that's the practice. And people sit, and they'll sit all night. Some people will sit for hours. Some people will sit just, you know, for a couple of minutes after the last candle burns out. Some people, you know, will sit until daybreak, and then they see light is returning. And there's a beautiful song that they'll sing. It's like a chant.
So let me ask you a question. In my world, in the Talmud, when it mentions this dispute between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, it gives a couple of different reasons for their opinions. And one of them is, it says that the reason for Beit Hillel's opinion, which is what we go by in my world, that we start with one light and increase, is because we only increase in holiness and we don't decrease. Malan v'kodesh ve'ein meridin. So I'm wondering how that's discussed in your world or thought about.
Well, I mean, it depends what you think of as holiness, right? So if you feel like you decrease light equals you decrease holiness, then I would imagine that's probably why your world operates that way. We don't see it that way in our world. We see it as with the decrease of light comes the increase of bina, of wisdom, because you're able to, you know, like I said, referencing Chanukah with shofar gadol yitaka, the great shofar is sounded, but still small voice is heard. Both of those are holy. They're just different experiences. Sometimes you need the rave at the beginning of Hanukkah, and sometimes you need the still small voice at the end to help direct you.
In my experience with Chanukah, part of the experience for me is every night you can see what night it is. You see how many candles are in it, and there's 4 candles. It's the 4th day. That wouldn't work in your world. I mean, it could be that just doesn't matter. It's something you don't have, but do you have a different experience with that?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing, but opposite. It's just counting down. So you know what night you're on. I mean, I'm hoping people can do subtraction.
Yeah, but then you have to go through a little bit of math. So you see 4 candles. Like, even just me right now, I'm going to have to count it out and say if I saw 4 candles and we were counting down from 8, that would mean it's the 5th night?
Correct. Very good. Very good. Yeah, we're going back to 2nd grade math.
Yeah.
That's great.
I didn't do so great in the second grade.
Me neither, too. But this really helps, actually. Like for the little kids that are learning this, the kids who are celebrating Hanukkah are a little bit in advance of their peers in school, quite frankly.
Yeah, actually, now that you're mentioning this, that's something that, like in Jewish day schools, the math curriculum gets kind of integrated into the Hanukkah curriculum.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Yeah, they use it as an example. I remember a few word problems like that for sure. Yeah, we use what we have.
I'm going to go through a few Hanukkah traditions that exist in my world, and I'm wondering if they're the same in your world, or if they exist at all, or if they're different. All right? Donuts. Sufganiyot. Is that something that exists in your world?
Sufganiyot. What's the relevance of that for Hanukkah? I'm curious.
They're fried in oil. Donuts are fried in oil, and so there's a tradition to eat oily things, and eventually it became two specific donuts and latkes, potato pancakes, and those are the two oily fried things that we eat because of the miracle with oil.
I love that. That's so sweet. No, we do more oil-based practices of anointing.
Oh, wow. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I don't know how far back this goes, but like certainly winter is a pretty, there's like dry heat in a lot of people's homes and apartments. And so it's a time where we want to use oil to kind of like keep our skin soft. Maybe some like a hair mask, like an olive oil hair mask. We use a lot of oil in just our hand lotions and things like that. So yeah.
So in my world, there is a custom to give gifts on Hanukkah. I don't know exactly how far back that goes and when it developed. Different people, some people like to argue that isn't something that was part of Hanukkah and that it was new or whatever. But definitely, in my experience now, Hanukkah, a big part of it is you get presents each night of Hanukkah.
Okay.
Is that a part of your...
That would be really fun. I'd like to adopt that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So there's no presents?
Oh, no, there are presents. There's a custom of making food for people and bringing it to people, it's like social action kind of a thing where if there's somebody who needs food or a certain place or people that that are, struggling. It's the winter months. So like the resources are, you don't have as many resources. Food can be scarce. And so it is a beautiful custom to like cook for people and like bring it wrapped up. Like if you're making them a cake or pie or something like that, you'd like go the distance and tinsel it or wrap it up in a beautiful wrapping. So in that sense, we do give gifts to other people, but not the kind of gifts that probably you're talking about, but I would like some of those. That would be really fun.
That sounds a lot like Purim. At least in my world, that's a big part of Purim is giving gifts to each other and to people who need them. Is that not part of Purim for you? It's mentioned in Megillas Esther.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we definitely bring things for it's a little more complicated than that. And it's a lottery. It's a community-wide lottery. So like now it's done electronically. Before you used to have to come to like town center and like pick a name,
Oh, what? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you have any sense of because this idea of giving people gifts of food on Hanukkah doesn't exist in my world. And it's the point of divergence of our world as far as I understand it is the Hanukkah candle number argument. I'm trying to figure, do you have any ideas or thoughts as to why that would make the difference with this particular custom of giving people food?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, if light is waning and the fire is waning, then it's like you're counteracting what you think of as a decrease in resources by being more generous and more abundant.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, thinking back to times when it starts getting cold and you're preparing for the winter, you really have to start conserving things.
And the tendency when you start conserving things is to go into your own silo and not share anymore. So this is sort of like the antidote. It's like the muscle to say, keep being generous, right? Even though light is waning, even though resources are getting more depleted, keep your hand open to give.
In my world, and this isn't just a Hanukkah thing or a Jewish thing, it's a pretty widespread perception. The idea of darkness being associated with badness. And in my world, a big part of Hanukkah is this idea that a little bit of light, one little candle on the first night can expel a lot of darkness, and then you increase from there. Do you have that same kind of attitude towards darkness?
Not at all. I think people really look forward to it. I mean, I think the first night of Hanukkah is really fun. People look forward to that opening, but people are very, very much looking forward to the nights where it's quiet and it's dark and you can just sort of be one with yourself. We don't have that same sense of like darkness equals bad or scary or anything like that. Because we're taught from a very young age. Remember, like I started out with this story that I wasn't afraid when it got dark. I wasn't afraid because I'd been taught like that this is actually a really special thing that our family does. So I don't have any of those associations.
When you were a kid and you go to sleep and turn off the lights, I know for a lot of kids that can be a kind of frightening experience. Do you think your experience with Hanukkah building up to that darkness kind of changed the way it feels when the lights turn off at night?
100%. It's the smartest pedagogic thing that I think our people have done, really. Because even if you start out in this world being scared, like you're 2 years old, 3 years old, whatever, you're scared of the dark, but you are every year you come to this Hanukkah time practice and you're learning and you see your parent or your grown up, or if you have an older sibling or friends, they're looking forward to it. So that there's something in there that like sticks to you in the recesses as your brain is forming. So I attribute 100%. I don't know many kids who are scared of the dark in my world.
This has been Parallel Judaism, created by me, David Taub. This episode is dedicated in memory of my father, Dr. Gershom Taub, and he's the one who taught me how to wander outside of my own universe and explore unexpected perspectives. Thank you to our guest, Naomi Less, who is an internationally celebrated singer, songwriter, ritualist, and educator. Her original music is sung in worship communities worldwide, and she serves as co-founder, ritual leader, and associate director of Lab Shul. You can find Naomi on Instagram at NaomiLess1 and her music anywhere you stream. For more stuff like this or to contact me, go to creativejudaism.com, where you can also sign up for email updates so you'll know immediately whenever I make something new.